Welcome to the Family Remission Podcast. I'm Ashley Tilford, and today we're going to talk about discipline that builds identity instead of shame. You know, a lot of times our tactics with discipline have to do with behavior modification. And I think that that is the main thing that we need to switch in our parenting styles is that discipline is not about behavior modification. It is about teaching and training our kids to become more like Christ. When we start to change our viewpoint of that, it changes how we discipline, it changes how we parent. Because now it's not about my shame because of how you're behaving. Now it is about how can I help you partner with God to become more like his son Jesus. And this is what will build identity instead of building out shame. See, shame says, I am wrong. Something in me is innately wrong. I am wrong. But Jesus came to roll away the reproach of our shame. And we, um, so shame says, I am wrong. And Jesus came to roll away the reproach of our shame and to remove our transgressions from us. And so we have to have an understanding of what shame is as well, because it's a lot different than guilt. And shame cannot be removed because shame is you saying that you have something innately wrong with you, that guilt says, I've done something wrong. And so we have to have this understanding of trading our shame into guilt, acknowledging those places in our hearts and minds where we believe there's something innately wrong with us. But the reality is that there's nothing wrong with us. We just did something wrong. That's the difference. When we do that and acknowledge that place of, I've been wrong, but no, I did wrong instead, and then give that sin to Jesus to take away, that is how we can move forward away from shame. And we don't want our children to heap shame upon themselves. We don't want our children to acknowledge that their identity is rooted in shame. And you may say, Ashley, I don't understand how they would do that. They do that because we, as the parent, um, scold them or speak down to them or belittle them because of what they've done, and they internalize it. So think about yourself when you were a kid, when your parents yelled at you or tried to discipline you or corrected you. From that experience, did you walk away thinking, okay, I'm okay. I just did something wrong. Majority of time, I would say no. Majority of time, I would say that as children are disciplined, they internalize it as shame. I am wrong. Something innately in me is wrong, messed up, broken, and I hate myself for it. So, if we're going to look at discipline through the lens of not behavior modification, but teaching and training our children how to be more like Christ, we have to acknowledge the places where our children naturally, I think that this is just a natural um, bend toward shame. Like that's part of living in this fallen world, is that they will naturally bend to I did something wrong, but that's because I am wrong. And we have to help them change their mindset from that perspective is that I see you made a mistake. That does not mean you are a mistake. When we start parenting from that way and disciplining our children with that lens of, okay, if I yell, if I get frustrated, if I raise my voice, immediately, without a doubt, they're going to condemn themselves as that, yes, they made a mistake, but it's because they're a mistake. How many of you have experienced that before in your own life where your parent got upset with you and you immediately took that on as your own shame? So, by acknowledging that this is where the majority of our children, where their mindset is, we can discipline from a place of heart connection instead, realizing that, okay, there was a mistake made, but my sole goal is to make a heart connection with you and try to bring you into a, and help you walk out the process of sanctification so that you look more like Jesus. This is the way that God has designed us as parents to discipline. But a lot of people don't know that. Why? Because they have the same experiences from their own parents, a shame-based approach to parenting that they've experienced and they don't know how to change it. Because in many times we as parents want to modify our kids' behavior. I want you to do what I say when I say it. It's a feeling of disrespect that we get when our kids don't obey immediately. But obedience is not about behavior modifications. And it's not about obeying out of fear. Obedience, the way that God designed it, is that you would obey out of love because you love Him. You're so thankful for what He's done for you. You have experienced the fullness of His love, and so you obey out of the kindness of your heart. How many of you can say that that's what your kids do? And I think that when we parent more the way that God designed us to parent, we see a lot more freedom. We see a lot more obedience. Maybe not right away, it takes some time. But when the child feels that they will not be shamed because of the mistake that they made, they're going to partner with you better about it. Because think about it, how many times did you lie as a kid to try to get out of getting in trouble? And a lot of times that lying is based out of shame. You're afraid that your parents are going to um, ag- a- acknowledge that, yeah, you're a mistake. I had you, you're a mistake. And that is not what we want for our kids. Um, So, parenting from a heart connection is important. Disciplining from that place of refusing to embarrass, refusing to cause them shame. And this takes humility. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy because it takes humility to, if you have reacted out of your anger or frustration and you know that your kid is thinking, man, I'm a mistake. That takes humility to come back to them, humble yourself, and say, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have reacted that way. When your kid sees you doing that, that builds trust. That builds the relationship. That builds the connection. And it builds their identity in Christ to acknowledge that they are loved, they are accepted, they are chosen. So when we change our discipline to one that is focused on a heart connection and love instead of one that is focused on shame, that builds identity. I have a free ebook available, which is called God's Design for Families. And it helps support this idea of heart centered parenting and how you can discipline from identity and what that looks like. I also have a course available called Heart Centered Parenting with resources and things to help you build that connection with your kid so that you can help them build their identity. So you can check all of that out and more resources available at ashleytilford.com.